Hey everyone, what's up? Stefano here. I hope everything is okay with you. So, in this tutorial I'm going to show you Odyssey and Atlantis in action with some demos. As you probably know, I've also created 2 walkthrough videos and they are really deep, so if you want a general idea about these 2 libraries, about the content, the features, you can find them on my channel or on the Zero G channel. With this tutorial I wanna explain some of the concepts behind these 2 libraries with real-time playing with these demos that I've created. So let's go. Okay, we can start with the Odyssey trailer. Okay, so we can see the first part of the track. We have several tracks created with the hybrid vocal synth of Odyssey. Let me explain the first part. Is this preset random syllables. So, a really cool texture. The hybrid vocal synth is a really powerful sound design tool in Odyssey. The second track is another preset, melismatic. This is pretty cool. So with the XY tab, I can control the crossfade between the layers. Remember that this is a control to change the level of the layer, and this control is present. So this means that in space you have the area where you can set the send reverb, the send replica delay, send delay for each layers. So if you use the send and then you use also the level of the layers, you can create a different ratio between wet and dry. This is pretty cool because, for example, in this case with the table, now I loaded only one layer, so if I you can see here layer 2 plus 3 and the layer 1, which means that if I go with the pointer here, I have only the layer 1. And indeed is more strong, is more dry. If I set the pointer here, I have only the reverb. So you can create a really cool texture. And this is a one layer patch. Okay, then we have another track here. Then another track. Are these whispers, syllables, pretty cool, I love it. So all this part, the first part, all these tracks are from the hybrid vocal synth. Then we have also a track of percussion with Cartago. So all these tracks work very well together to create this texture, this sound design part. Then, in the second part of the video, we start with the true legato. The first articulation that I'm using here is the angelic legato A. So, let me talk about this true legato, because with Odyssey I've introduced the adaptive legato with the look ahead feature. This is pretty cool. Let me explain how it works. You can use the legato without the adaptive mode, which is the standard workflow. Okay, I setting off the reverb. With the standard mode, you have 3 different legato latency. The default is 300. Really smooth, really cool. Of course, if you need a little bit of more agile legato, you can set the latency to the minimum value, which is 100. really smooth again, but of course this is pretty cool if you need a more agile, faster legato. But the cool thing here is the adaptive legato, because with the adaptive legato you have 3 different steps of speed. So you have slow, medium and fast. And sounds really cool. And when you are using the adaptive legato, there is a problem. Of course, if I play slow, I have a latency, which is 300. And of course, you know, when you have recorded the part, the MIDI part, then I usually quantize the MIDI event, and then I insert the latency in the track delay, so negative value, so minus 300 to compensate this latency, and I'm ready, and everything sounds pretty cool. But of course, with the adaptive legato we have a problem, because if I play slow, yes, I have 300, but if I play medium or fast, I have a different latency. So the problem is, for example, in some kind of situation where I have faster passage, like in this part where we have medium legato. So in this case the latency is different, and there is a problem. These notes could be played early because I have a different latency. Okay, the look ahead fix this issue, because quantize any events, so you have just to quantize the MIDI notes, and then you have just to set the track delay with the maximum value of latency, so minus 300 in this case. Remember that in the info page you have every info, also the latency, so it's pretty cool. And you are ready, so you have everything in time. You have the best of 2 worlds, because you have the adaptive legato with speed, with the adaptive speed, the slow, medium, fast, but everything is in time. So remember that we have also the multi-layer. As you can see here, I have this value, which means syllable. This value is for classic legato. So in this case, a sound. Of course, this kind of syllables are true legato, but I suggest you to use this syllable not in every passage, not in every intervals, just sometimes. This way works, they work very well. Or classic transition. Okay. Then the angelic legato has another articulation, which is the U, which is this one. Well, let's move on. In the second part, I'm using also the Odyssey legato. Odyssey legato, as I have explained in the walkthrough, is a little bit more operatic sound, but not so lyrical. So is a nice has a nice sweet point, in my opinion. We have legato O, legato A, and a lot of syllables. Now I will show you, and are really cool. Let me go and play in this part. So I'm using two different instances. So in this part I'm using the legato A, which is this part here, is a sort of contro melody, and then here I'm using the legato O, but as you can see there are the key switches because I'm switching from the legato and the syllables, animated syllables. So the animated syllables are really cool because let me show you. For example, I have the legato O. The cool thing, in my opinion, is when you combine the classic legato that, remember, is multi-layered, so we have also the syllable. Of course, but then we have the animated syllable. We have different kind. For example, the first one, syllable 1, has this kind of phrasing. The second one has this kind of phrasing. And if you combine all these articulations, you can create a really cool phrasing. Okay, then we have also the legato A. Also with the A we have the syllable, the animated syllable. In the second part, I'm using the Odyssey legato with A and O articulation plus the animated syllables, polyphonic syllables in with the multi-instrument, so with the combination that I've created, and you can use that combines the expressive syllable, which has a phrasing inside the syllable, and the short, which has a static syllable, but with 3 dynamic levels. So remember that for each step you can load different syllables, different articulations. And let me take a look at this part. Okay, so we have the first melody, which is this one. As you can see in this part, I'm using the Odyssey true legato, but I'm switching with the key switch from the vowels, so the classic legato O in this case, and the syllables, the animated syllables. And you can see here the key switches. So this is the way I love to use this true legato, because if you combine the O or A and then you switch in some part, in some specific moment to the animated syllables, and you combine also and you can use also the multi-layered true legato with the syllable, so the static syllable, the long syllables. Yeah, you can create a pretty cool, interesting vocal performance. For example, this part, I'm starting with the O. You can see here the key switch. So the first 3 notes are O sound with the true legato. Then here I'm switching to the syllable 1. That means that these notes is syllable. Legato, syllable, no do, okay? And this is pretty cool because you have a lot of different way to use this patch. So in this case I'm starting with the O, and here I'm switching, as you can see, to the syllable, animated syllable, and then I'm switching to the A sound, and then again with the relative syllable, animated syllable, because remember, as you can see here, let me explain how are organized. Legato, then we have syllable 1, 2, 3, 4, which are related to legato O, because inside there is also the O sound. Of course, you can combine all these syllables without any problem. You can use also the legato A, and then you can switch to the syllable 2, for example. But I created this organization, this list, because I don't know if organization is correct. Anyway, I think you can understand what I'm saying. I hope. And the syllable 5 and 6 are a little bit more specific to the legato A, but of course you can combine them without any problem. So A, then key switch, syllable, and then another key switch. So in general, I can say that when you need a smooth transition, switch to the legato sound. When you have long notes or you need of a phrasing, you can use the syllables, the animated syllables. So if you combine the true legato O and A, then you switch in specific moment to the animated syllables, you can create a pretty cool part. For example, here you can see then so I switch to the first key switch, so the O sound. I have this sound, right? Because I'm using the true legato, but I'm using the key switch to have the syllable. If I set the MIDI velocity to the lower, with a lower setting, I have the classic sound. So the O sound. But in this case, I really like the animated syllable because I have this long note, so I want the phrasing. Okay. Also in this part, I need the phrasing, so I'm using the animated syllable and polyphonic animated syllable. So in this part, I'm using the polyphonic syllables to create the harmony, a little choir, you know. And then I'm playing the melody with the Odyssey legato. Then I'm using the A sound, so I'm using another instance of the true legato, but in this case I'm using the legato A with this melody here, second melody, you know. So when you use Odyssey or also Atlantis, don't think that this is a solo vocal. Yes, it's a solo vocal, but my suggestion is think out of the box. So yes, we have a voice, but I work to create also different color, different articulations. You have a lot of voices in Atlantis, and then if you work with Odyssey and Atlantis together, you have a lot of voices, a lot of singers. So yes, it's a solo vocal, but you can create a choral, arrangement. You can create a choral vocal arrangement because you can create different true legatos parts together, and you can blend them together. I think that this is the power of the Ethereal series, because you can use all these voices together. In the next tutorial, I will show you how I'm using Atlantis in another demo, combining all the voices together. So this is the power of this series. Okay, I hope it's clear what I mean. You know, my English is always not so good. Anyway, about the strings, I am using performance samples that I really love, which is, in particular here, I'm using Pacific Strings. Jasper, fantastic work. I love it. And okay, so then let me think. Yeah, about this trailer, I think I've covered everything. Let me say just some more, some additional info about the expressive syllable. This is a pretty cool instrument, in my opinion. You can use this instrument in a lot of different ways, because, for example, the polysyllables expressive has different articulations. You have for example, the quarter, the half, the crescendo, the short, the static syllable. So you can use them, you can use it in a different way. For example, now I use this slider to set the instrument with 2 steps, only 2 steps. So if you combine, for example, the quarter, which is long as articulation, and it has a phrasing, the static syllable is 1 syllable and it is long. So with just 2 steps, for example, a quarter plus a static syllable, you can create an interesting and I think a pretty cool expressive part. Then, of course, with more steps, you can create a more interesting and complex part. The short version has 3 dynamic levels. And And when you use these polysyllables plus the true legato, you have created a pretty nice sound, in my opinion. Okay guys, I think that for this first part I've covered everything. You can find this session under the comment. I've prepared this Cubase session. I'm sorry, I'm using Cubase, so I have only this version, and I've of course I'm using some plugins like Suit. I don't know if you have it in some tracks. Anyway, I've created a rendered version of each tracks, as you can see. So you can see this tutorial, and you can study also the session just to see how I'm using the MIDI, for example, for the polyphonic syllables, and of course I'm using in this session, as I said, the Pacific string about the string. Anyway, I've created a rendered version. About the percussions, I'm using Cartago. So if you have Cartago, my brand new percussion library created in collaboration with Giuseppe Cagliazzo of Silence Plus Other Sounds, in the next days I will do another tutorial about Cartago, which is a really nice percussion cinematic folk percussion library. Anyway, I've created also a rendered version of the tracks. So if you don't have Cartago, you have the wave files. Anyway, I think is a nice way to study the library, how I used the library in this trailer, in this session. I will do the same, I think, with the other tutorials, also with Atlantis. I hope this tutorial it was helpful for you, and see you next. Ciao.